Ray Wagner, the president of the company in 1976, had...
There are names that never appear on screen, yet shape an entire generation. Roger Sweet was one of them. He wasn't an actor, not a star in front of the camera, but if you've ever known He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, then you've lived in a world he helped create. And now, as Roger Sweet passes away at the age of 91, a bigger Roger Sweet wasn't a name the public mentioned every day. But in the toy and entertainment industry, he was a true pioneer. He was one of the key figures behind the creation of He-Man, a character that was not just a toy, but became a cultural icon. According to reports, Roger Sweet passed away at 91, leaving behind a legacy tied to one of the biggest franchises of the 1980s. What's striking is that even though He-Man became part of the childhood of millions, very few people actually knew the man behind it. And that's exactly what makes this story so remarkable. Question emerges, just how large was his legacy, and why are so many people only realizing it now? When He-Man was created, it wasn't simply a commercial product, it was a strategy, an idea, a fusion of character design, storytelling, and brand building. Roger Sweet saw the potential in a character who could be both a hero and a symbol of strength. He-Man didn't have the layered complexity of modern superheroes. He was strong, straightforward, and represented something easy to understand: the power of good against evil. But that simplicity was the key. It allowed children to connect easily. It allowed the story to expand, and more importantly, it created a foundation for building an entire universe. In Roger Sweet's era, the toy industry wasn't just about selling products. It was about selling stories. And He-Man was one of the most successful examples. From a toy line, He-Man quickly became an animated series, comic books, and a global cultural icon. What Roger Sweet and his team created didn't just exist on store shelves. It lived in the imagination of children. This is something many people today might overlook. We live in an era where brands are built through social media and viral content. But in Roger Sweet's time, everything started with an idea. And it had to be strong enough to survive without the internet. One thought-provoking question is, why weren't people like Roger Sweet more recognized while they were alive? The answer may lie in the nature of their work. They weren't the faces. They were the ones behind the scenes. They built the foundation for others to shine. And in doing so, they were often overshadowed. Only after they pass away does the public begin to look back and realize how deeply their work influenced an entire generation. Roger Sweet is a perfect example. When people talk about legacy, they often think of awards, titles, or fame. But in Roger Sweet's case, his legacy lies in something else: lasting impact. He-Man isn't just a character of the past. It continues to be revived, reimagined, and kept alive in different forms. What does that mean? It means Roger Sweet's original idea still holds value. It's still strong enough to adapt to modern times. And that is the true mark of a lasting legacy. Think about it. If you grew up in the 80s or 90s, chances are you've encountered He-Man. You may have watched the show, played with the toys, or at least heard the name. But did you know Roger Sweet? Probably not. And that's what makes this story so powerful. He influenced the lives of millions without them ever knowing his name. Roger Sweet's story isn't just about a man who passed away. It's a reminder that not everyone who creates impact stands in visible places, that sometimes the greatest contributions come from those who are mentioned the least. In a world increasingly driven by attention and fame, Roger Sweet's story stands as a fascinating contrast. He didn't need the spotlight, but what he created still remains. Roger Sweet has passed away at the age of 91, but He-Man and everything he helped create still lives on. And perhaps that is the true definition of a legend, not the one most remembered, but the one who created something that can never be forgotten.